Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good day, good morning, good afternoon.
I was
Hola.
going to say good day. Good day, hola. How
Bev's
are you doing?
lit, so we got to get started.
That is lit. By lit, I mean the sage had been lit.
That's what she tells you guys, but
I know.
backstage.
You just don't know if you'd have to be backstage. So you're all welcome to come backstage.
That's
Just let me
it.
know. That's right. And then you can see what's really going down.
Right. So
So
yeah,
how are you doing?
Bev Sage, so we're ready to go.
We are ready
Bev
to go.
Sage, and I'm huffing Vienna Cafe oils. It's not a promotion for the oils. It's just a little pick me up this morning because I am on that schedule of getting up at like 4:15, 4:20 in the morning to go to the gym and get that done. So I'm still, even though I've been up for almost 6 hours, I'm still like, I could go back to sleep right now. So just saying.
Will you have a nap in store?
Actually I do, because I have to go to Vegas and pick somebody up at the airport at 11 o'clock tonight.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna take a nap later.
good.
My tomorrow is gonna be all out of whack. So just is. It's okay.
It could even be better. It could be one of those times you just have less sleep and you're like flying on this. You don't have any restrictions, right? There's no stopping your flow. We
Yeah,
get in our way because we get in our way.
it's true. And I know that happens because anytime I'm doing a bigger class or event the night before, I might get an hour or two of sleep. But once, and I will be dragging in the morning, typically getting myself going, getting the momentum going. And once the class starts or the event starts, I'm good. Like I just did that this past weekend, taught a Reiki master class, and we were together for 5.5 hours. And I didn't sleep well. I not much sleep the night before, very tired in the morning. And once everybody gathered and we started, I was good. And then once we ended, I could feel myself like starting to, it's like, oh, I need a pillow.
Because we actually get a lot of support from those classes too, because now all that energy is coming to work. There's just a lot of energy in that space.
I just want to
So
make sure I'm not being an energy sucker, sucking all my students' energy.
no, it's because it's what it's giving. It reminds me of Suzanne Giesemann. And I don't know if she still does this, but she would have, when she would do channeling, she would have a certain number of people, and there were specific people because they would help raise her vibrational frequency to help her maintain this energy frequency so she could keep that connection for longer and
Yeah,
without there being a hesitation in it. Because I've caught her a few times where the channel is talking through her, and then she'll like almost like slow down for a minute, and she'll be like, everybody increase the energy. She'll automatically ask for it to be done because she knows what she needed at that time. I don't know if she still does that, but that was once upon a time in her recordings.
yeah, that's awesome. No, I don't. I'm making lighthearted of it. I'm calling being an energy. So you got to keep your teacher going, man. You pay for this class, but no, I know it's a download of energy that comes to me, and yeah. So I'm not sucking everybody's energy, trying to keep my going.
Well, I know you don't. You're not like that. That was the funny, but I just was thinking about how others, how it really is kind of a big deal. It
Yeah.
is kind of a big deal, that energy that's coming in. Just like when you're having conversations with someone and all of a sudden the conversation changes to something that's a little bit heavy or a lot heavy, you feel it. And you automatically want to change the vibration. It just doesn't feel good. That'd be
Yeah.
like we're talking and we're having a great time, and then all of a sudden I say something silly about the government or whatever, and you're like, oh, we just talk about something else.
Yeah. No, Bev,
Your voice changes, the heaviness, everything changes.
and it's okay. I'm going to say it's okay to allow people to be in their heaviness. Are you
Yep.
going to participate in it? And and encourage them to stay in it as well. That's the difference, right? It's like, whoa, wait a minute. First of all, I don't want to be part of this conversation because this is not where I want to be with my vibration. And I feel I could help them shift theirs.
Yeah, which is awesome. And when someone's talking like that to me, then I would stop and say, because I have been doing this, because I'm curious. It's out of my curiosity that comes forward. When someone starts bringing forward all this information, and I stop and I'm like, okay, so if it was your world and you had all this control, what would it look like? How would it look like from there? Just not even trying to implement anything, just giving them an idea that switch their thoughts, because it is that simple. I've had conversations with Freeman and we talk about a lot of things. We talk about, like I had asked him, okay, similar conversation. He was talking about something and I'm like, okay, but in the ideal world, what would that look like? And he started describing to me just some different stuff and I just never processed it before. So it gave me something to add to focus on. Like everybody's got their own job. Everybody has their own job. You're not going to have a million telemarketers in one place. Everyone is unique. Everyone is here for a purpose. And that purpose may be something just so slightly different from somebody else's, but it brings something different for different people. So when he told me that, it's like, then you wouldn't really, we always have everything that we need, right? So we have everything that we need and we're always living in our joy because we're always providing, we're just living in that journey. But you don't know until you start processing that and asking yourself, what does that look like? Because before, if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, what does that look like? I have no clue. I have zero idea what could be better than that. So then you start educating yourself. You start learning more stuff. You start even implementing different definitions to the words that you've given definitions to words, that the way they feel and stuff, and you change it. You change it, and it's like these little subtle things change everything. It changes everything in your life.
Yeah. We actually just experienced that last Friday, did a new moon ceremony gathering, and the new moon is about setting your intentions and manifesting. And so I have them write down something they want to manifest. And then, there's some different steps that we do, but then what I have them do is pair up and talk about it. And as one person is talking about what they're wanting to manifest, the other person is listening, but also asking questions to get a clearer picture. Right?
Yeah.
If I said, what do you want to experience in a relationship, Evan? You're like, oh, I just want to be in love. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Is there another person in the picture? Is it a dog? Is it an animal?
Yeah.
What kind of relationship, and what, is there a gender involved? Do you want them financially successful, or do you want them dependent on you? Right. So that's what we do, is we get clearer. And so I'll have them switch partners because each person is going to maybe come forward with different questions about getting clear. And then that also amplifies, like, we're holding that vision for that person. And so it's to me, it's an interesting process. And I think it helps to have kind of, that you might call it like a mastermind group of helping you get clearer on what it is you're wanting to bring to yourself.
And life does that for you too. Life helps you get clearer because it presents things just so you can have the experience. If we just looked at it that way, oh, the waiter brought me kidney beans and liver. I don't know. So, something that maybe I'd be like, oh no, thank you. I don't want that. So but that's the way we could approach life. So when something's coming to us, it's like, no, thank you. But what do I want in place of that? So instead, I'll go ahead and get your fried chicken or, whatever. I'm not saying that that's what I normally eat. It doesn't really freaking matter what I eat. But it has to do, I'm just saying it's on a menu. If I'm looking at it, I've made a decision because something was presented to me that I didn't really care for. I didn't resonate with it, right? That's the best way of saying it. I didn't resonate with her, him, that food, whatever. What do you do? What do you resonate with? So when you start thinking about that, the universe doesn't have to keep throwing all these things in your way. So you can figure out, well, I don't like this. I do like that. I mean, if we start identifying it and we start participating more in this whole journey, instead of being distracted in this journey, we'll start noticing big differences.
Yeah. I was just listening to Ed Milet's podcast. He's a business influencer, and his guests like went from being in prison, and he had a tough childhood, let me tell you what. I was like, wow. But ended up in prison, got out, and now he's a coach and he's making millions. And so what he was talking about, which is along, what you're saying, is it would be, my words, not his, it would be more beneficial for us to do the things, or spend at least 5 minutes a day doing the thing that we had our heart set on when we were kids. Right? There was a moment where there was something that just absolutely lit you up. And as we got older, we, let it go to the wayside, because now we have to adult. and all the responsibilities with adulting. And then Ed Milet shared that that he has a friend who was doing his thing, he wasn't happy, and he's took a self-reflection type of thing and said, okay, well, what is it when I was a kid that I like to do? He's like, I really like to argue. and the other thing was he would stick up for the, if some kids had altercations on the playground or whatever, he would stick up for the basically like the weaker one, and so he had this self-inquiry at the age of 30, and once he realized that, he went back to school and he went to college and became a lawyer. And Ed Milet's like, he's a happy guy now. He's loving what he's doing. And so it doesn't necessarily mean like, I'm going to be a dancer, I'm going to be a singer. I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of that. Like, oh, when I was a kid, I used to argue all the time. Well, what profession or what's out there where you can do this, right? Well, okay, I'm going to be an attorney.
That's funny. In my experience, for me, I don't have anything that I wanted to do. I wanted to be around, I like to be around animals. I did. But that wasn't my passion. That was my escape. I honestly, there's so much hidden spots for my life that I don't recall, that I don't remember. I still feel, even at that point of that age, because I was molested really young. So when that was happening, everything changed for me. So I don't remember before that. I don't really remember everything after that, but I just know that I feel like I was in a people pleasing mode always. So it's like, what would get then maybe I'll be a veterinarian, or maybe I'll be a nurse, but I never had a passion for any of that stuff. So I find that interesting, because I think it's great, because that's great information. I've heard it before, talked about before, about really looking at, it was recent, really looking at what you wanted to do when you were a kid. I just didn't, nothing comes to mind for me. I don't remember ever I just don't ever remember having a focus on that. I always felt like I was, eventually I'll grow up, even like I've told you not that long ago. Well, see, when I grow up, I'll figure out what I'm going to do, because I still don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Even though I talked to a friend yesterday, and she says that she's thinking about retiring in the following year. And she said, because I'm going to follow my path. I want to follow my growth. And I thought, holy shit, that is so, that hit me so hard, because even still, because I talk about retiring this year, even though I'm talking about it, people still have opinions about stuff like that. Well, how can they have opinion about your growth? I mean, seriously. And it's not because I don't want them to have an opinion, because it's something, if I'm presenting to them, it's for them to think about, what do they want to do with their lives? Do they want to continue doing the same thing they're doing? Without even knowing what I'm going to be doing, without even knowing, seriously. I don't know, but I also know I want to follow, it's not even I want to, I'm following my passions, and whatever that is. And initially for me, following your passions, it might be, you might get like a dim light of a passion. It's not like you got this big freaking illuminating light that's like freaking shining right over here. And it's like, I know right where to go to, like the moth, right? It's not working that way. It's a little bit less, but it's the more I key into myself, then I start noticing, ooh, that kind of gave me a little bit of excitement in my body. Oh, I felt that in my solar plexus. Ooh, I felt that in my heart. I felt like I was going to cry almost. Like all these emotions that kind of come forward that indicate that this is where we're at. But my emotions are going to be so small to notify me because I never allowed my emotions before. Even something I'm reading this morning, if you want something better out of a relationship, it's feeling things, deep emotions. And I honestly, truly don't know that I've really felt the deep emotions. I felt like I felt a lot of stuff that was regarding myself, how the passing of someone not being here, how it's affected me, how I miss that person being here. But the deeper emotions, I feel like there's something deeper there now that I haven't recognized before. But I'm at a space where I'm willing to recognize that. I'm willing to step into that place. I'm not willing to be that person to sit back and listen to all the sad songs and make myself cry the whole time. But there's experiences now. Okay, I'm ready for them to come forward, because anything that might be keeping me from me enjoying my path, from enjoying this journey while I'm here, because I want to enjoy the hell out of this journey. Like I really do. And when I say I want to, that means I'm not 100% doing that. But I'm finding more and more reasons why I've held myself back. And a lot of it is because of perception of others. It can go back to the same conversation, and we've talked about this stuff, and we do great. But then I start recognizing there's another layer of it, right? It's it, it actually goes along with money. It goes along with popularity. It goes along with all these things that we've kind of kept ourselves from. And then how do we know? We start asking the questions. We start asking deeper questions, more emotional questions. And the stuff that it's just, you just on the other side of that, you walk outside you're at the end of a tunnel. You come out. You're not in it anymore. You're not restricted anymore. The flow is completely there. Completely there. And it just is coming in from directions that we're not expecting or anticipating in any way, shape, or form. I've had dreams that have told me that everything's paperwork's already in the works, is what I was told. Interesting. There's just interesting things. Not something I went to bed thinking about, but you get messages. We get them all the time. And it's just to be in that space of holding faith and know it's going to happen. And then put your attention on it, go do something else. So I'm learning to do something else. If I'm not happy about with the way my body's going, then I'm out running. If I'm not, because if I don't always go into town, it's not for me. I don't like driving to town every day. If I don't have to go into town to pick up any of the grandkids or do anything, I'll stay home. Excuse me, but I can go for a run out here where I'm at in the middle of a desert.
Go
But
chase
it's
the
peaceful.
cows.
And chase cows. I could chase cows. I love the cows. They're so cute.
It's interesting that you mentioned being a nurse or a veterinarian, because that's what I was thinking when I was little.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny? So
So if you want to break it down, it's of service, being of
Right.
service.
right. And nature.
Yeah.
Being of
Oh,
nature, right?
100%.
So
100%.
yeah, it was one of those things. So back in that day, right, when we were little, it was it was the thing, you graduate and go to college. Well, when I was about done with school, I was like, I don't want to go to college. So I didn't. I did take a couple of college courses for uh, I did classes. Never got a degree though. And I would just wasn't interested in it. So when you said I didn't have a passion for those topics, I didn't either. I was like, I didn't have that pull to it, but I knew there would be something. Even as a child, it's like I knew there would be something where I would be helping people. I didn't figure that out till my 40s, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So yeah. And I mean, a guy who doesn't figure out he wants to be an attorney until he's 30, and he's got to go to what, 6 years of school at least, an internship and all that. So it's okay, no matter what age you're at, that you can still do what lights you up. Now, Ed Milet, what he said was when he was younger, he loved to run, and he got disconnected from that. And so he recently started riding horses, And he was trying to figure out, he's like, I was trying to figure out why I love this so much. And then it hit him that the horses could run and they ran faster than he could. Right. And so he's just like, I just love it. So it's, there might be a way to, if you think you can't do what you want to do, there's probably a way around it to get that same feeling in your body, that same sensation of being filled up. And this gentleman, his name was is Drain Jones, and his main premise of his conversation was living from your heart. And when we talk about this, we've been talking about this for like 3 years now, and it's just the way it's presented, right? You hear it in different words, and it kind of, makes things shift even more within your brain and in your body. And just like you just had that shift about following your growth. And so living from your heart, or finding your passion, living in your passion, right? So it's just a play with words to see what fits for you. But the idea is that there's something that gets you all giddy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, give some attention to it. Give some attention to it and just see what happens. But if anything, it's going to help you feel good more often. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, no kidding, but it's true. And different ways of deciphering it. So the same thing, that guy loved to argue when he was a kid. So he became an attorney. We were doing things, if we wanted to break it down, it wasn't so much the actual role of being a nurse or a veterinarian. It was the actual assisting of people and being outside. That's the one thing I struggle with, even for me. And I control my hours, so I don't see any more than 3 to 4. Lately, it's just been 3, so I've been restricting it because I notice a difference. But I don't like being stuck inside. I cannot stand it. I don't like being where I cannot be looking out windows or out. I mean, where I'm sitting right now in my office, I have 2 big windows and I can look out into my yard. So, I mean, I like to be able to see outside. I like the flow, and that's probably grounding. So it's kind of deciphering some of the things that you felt like you wanted to do when you were a kid too. That's what it's just really looking into it. I don't know how, like you said, I don't know how the guy you could have done a bunch of different things, but arguing, but so we always, even at that age, at a young age, I knew that I could rely on my animals, right? For me, until my cat ended up dying, and I was just devastated. But I even still to this day, if I would have given it the appreciation, knowing that spirit was with me, because I would feel my cat laying on my feet as a child. I would feel her laying on my feet and she wasn't there because I know she had transitioned already. I would hear her. There was different things. I feel her walking on the bed. There was just different things that she was letting me know that she was there, but I was a child that nobody was explaining to me. Oh, well, she's just letting you know she's still there. She doesn't have her fur body anymore. She's still with you. But no one ever talked to me about that kind of stuff. The only thing I ever heard about when I was a kid was ghost stories. I would hear the family get together and they'd start talking about, oh yeah, having their foot and something touch their foot. It's like, motherfucker, I would never let my foot hang outside those covers because
Right.
it didn't matter how hot I was petrified. Now it doesn't
You
matter.
didn't put your hand over the bedside
No,
at night, man. You're in the center of the bed and covered up.
that's right. It's all right. It's all right. I'm sweating. It's okay. It's good. We're good. We're solid. We're covered. Nothing can touch us through this blanket. It's so
And I
silly,
can't
but
sleep tonight but you know what? Ain't nobody gonna get me.
yeah. I remember, and it's funny, I don't know why I'm going in this direction, but I remember being a kid and I remember reading a book, and I was really drawn to dark stuff for a while there because I was going through my stuff. I was looking, and I don't think I even realized I was looking, but
Sure.
my uncle that had passed away, I had dozed off, and then I kind of have woke up kind of in that in-between space, but I could see the light was on. I got covered up, the book got closed, set aside from me, and my light got turned on. I witnessed all this stuff happening. So it was like there was ways that spirit showed up in it. And that uncle, I wasn't like close with him, but I knew that was him. I just knew. So there was just different stuff that was going on, even around the house. There was just different stuff that I would see as a kid. And we forget about that stuff. And I'm remembering it right now. So I guess that's all that matters. Just a bunch of different little things like that. But we just go through this whole life and then we get distracted by all the stuff that's outside of us. And then what do? We pay attention more to the stuff that's outside of us. We lose ourselves completely. And then when you're totally lost, like, how the hell do you love yourself? How do you love yourself from this place? It's step by step. It's just a step at a time. It's making different decisions. It's putting your left shoe on first, maybe then the right shoe. If you always do it right shoe. It's just doing something slightly off from what you normally do, and then watching what happens, watching how things transpire, catching the messages, listening to the messages. I've talked to you about it. I listen to certain readings that are on YouTube that they'll tell you to pick a pile. I pick a pile. I don't listen to the whole message. I just know that pile is for me, because I can either get a resonation inside of myself. I use a pendulum to ask myself which one's going to be the ideal one for my answers. And I listen to that. And I don't get hopeful about it. I just listen to it and take in whatever resonates with me, and I let it go. And I get excited about it. Oh my gosh, I've got so much money coming my way, because our bodies and our lives know no difference. They know no different than our thoughts. Our thoughts have been controlling everything that's happening around us. If you don't have enough money, it's your thoughts. There's something in your thoughts. You don't think you're worthy. It's old beliefs. Or I've even heard it, when the more the money comes in, you try to spend it as fast as possible because money is evil, right? All these different beliefs. So belief systems, those are just the simple things. And it could be something just as so simple as, you don't want to be looked at better than somebody else. You don't want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable for their lack of. So, I mean, there's just so many different things that are going on. And then throw in a partner. Well, that'll turn into a shit show real quick, you think, because then you start applying your partner's information to your wants and needs. So if you're hearing your partner say, well, I don't know how we're going to do that, the money's not there right now, then there starts creating a stress, right? It starts creating a stress. And now the person that has all this faith and has all these answers and knows that money's coming in now starts creating doubt. And now they start like, well, it's not here yet. How come it's not here yet? So they start going through the whole process, right? And then all the while, they're still keeping themselves from something they want. And then it starts creating an anxiety. For me, it's been recognizing, as soon as I feel, if I go to pay something and it was more than I thought it was going to be, I take a breath. And I know everything's always working out for me. So I don't put a whole lot of energy into it like I have in the past. My past stuff, I put a lot of energy into it. I put a lot of energy into it. So but that's not what I wanted. Right. But that's just what I was paying. That's what I was advertising for. I'm like, okay, come on, come this way. I love it this way. Money doesn't love me. And that's not even a true story. Money is just money. Love is everywhere around us if we choose to be open to it.
So also watching a podcast, Alex's Next Level Soul, talking to a lady, I'm sorry, I don't know her name. But her premise is teaching people that when we're going through something and we feel struggle or feel anxiety or we feel anger, we're feeling a certain way. Her practice is to teach people that the actual experience doesn't have any meaning. There's no meaning to it. It's just an experience. When they say it is what it is, it just is. I've said it myself. It just is. It's just an experience. Just something took place. But then we bring our thoughts, our beliefs, our patterns, our habits, our programming, our stories as we're perceiving what's happening. And then that's where the meaning comes from. But otherwise, the experience had no meaning. So then that's, if you think back, that's what we did as children. We witnessed something and we gave meaning to it. But the actual experience didn't have any meaning.
True.
And so she took Alex through a process of clearing up some stuff about money. And it was quite interesting because, again, everybody's teaching the same thing, basically. We're just all teaching it from different viewpoints, different perspectives, different verbiage. And so I was finding this fascinating because I actually listened to both of those this morning.
Nice.
One while I was working out, one while I was getting ready for my day and having breakfast. And it was like, wow. So, living from your heart space, doing something lights you up, and stop giving meaning to things that don't have no meaning.
It's true. It's true. If we put too much into it, it just goes back to the whole thing. You know, when you listen to some of the mediums, the person died once and you've killed them a million more times since then because
Right,
you relive it over and over and over again. That was something that was just an experience.
right.
It was just an experience, which sounds kind of harsh in some ways, but and believe me, I would feel that it would feel harsh in certain times too, I'm sure. But overall, in general, I do feel like it's not harsh. It's just that's just a matter of perception. That's just, are you looking at it from a 5D world or are you looking at it from a 3D world? And you
Yeah,
can tell the difference.
she even talked about it. Her husband passed, I think she said 6 years ago, and he was like everything to her. And focusing on him dying, and then she added meaning to it of, how am I going to run a business? How am I going to do this? Oh my gosh, am I good enough? Right. And she goes, when I put what I do into practice for myself, she's like, there was no meaning to his passing. He passed, he died. It was how I was bringing my stories into it, of not being good enough, of, you know, how I'm not smart enough to run a business, you know, these things that she was identifying within herself that was being projected onto this experience of her husband passing. And she goes, you know what? The business is still running and I'm still doing okay. And she said, so yeah. And it's no different than if you and I were in, so if you were in a room and I came into the room and never approached you, never said hi to you, never had any interaction with you, but you saw me and you didn't make any attempt to go to me either. And then in the room 10, 20 minutes, and then I leave. What do you give to that meaning or that story or to that experience? What did I do wrong? How come she didn't talk to me? Is she mad at me? What is that all about? Why is she ignoring me? I know she saw me, right? Then we start bringing all that, our childhood drama and trauma stories into, when the fact is, yeah, I probably saw you. Yes, I probably was on a mission. Maybe I had something really urgent to take care of and I needed to get it done. And I knew if I went and talked to Bev, we're going to stand there for an hour talking, because that's what we do all the time, probably 2 hours. I don't got time for that. I'm not even going to say hi to her because I don't want to get drawn into that. Right. So, you know, Bev could sit there and have this huge story conjured up about me not talking to her. And the fact is, had nothing to do with her. Absolutely nothing to do with her. I was on a mission. I had to do something. So that's an example of what she was talking about. Even something like that we just blow way out of proportion in our head. And then, of course, right, it creates the stress in our body. And then we're all upset and we're tight and tense. And our whole day's ruined because Amy didn't go say hi to Bev.
Blood's all out in your freaking limbs, not in your brain and in your organs and everything else.
Right. So
which is so valuable.
Yeah. So she helps people identify what are they bringing to the experience to create the meaning, when the fact is there is no meaning and it never existed.
I haven't seen this video yet, so I'll have to find it and check it out.
It
sounds good.
Yeah. So always learning, always growing. And I really appreciated both of those podcasts this morning. So.
And it's funny because I do this a lot, but when you set your intention for the information, what do I need to hear today? So that was the one of Suzanne Gieseman's Sip of the Divine, right? She says, what do I need to know right now? But we can do that with anything. It's really when you're going on to YouTube, because I do this all the time. So if anybody else is out there, they like to go on YouTube. I just set my intentions. What do I need to know right now? And it's funny, the stuff that shows up on there. So I'll be like, well, okay, I'll give it a try and see what it is. And sometimes it might be listening to Dr. Berg. Sometimes it's listening to Barbara. Sometimes it's listening to a reading. Sometimes it's listening to Alex or Esther Hicks, or, you know, there's so many different things. So many different things. Athena and Truth, you know, all these different people that are like players, because they're players for you and for me anyways, not for everybody, but because they're bringing it forward information I need to hear right now. And how do I know? Because the way it resonates in my body, the way that it feels within my body. You know, it's the same thing. How do you know that you like something or don't like something? Well, when someone starts talking about something you don't like, you automatically can feel it in your body. automatic. The government, maybe you can't stand German chocolate cake. You know what I mean? Maybe your favorite is white cake. So that be like, oh gosh, no, I love this stuff. But that's how you know, that's getting in touch with your own feelings, being in that space of knowing how it feels. Because otherwise I wouldn't know how to even navigate here, honestly. I really wouldn't. It can be very confusing. All the information that we're around all the time isn't very high vibing, typically, especially from birth to now. But we're finding our like-minded groups. We're finding our groups and gravitating towards those and expanding. And then it doesn't mean that you stay in those groups forever, because sometimes you don't resonate with people there either. And then you end up going in a different direction, which is no different or better than anybody else. Not necessarily, it is different because you're deciding to go from a different track, but it's little subtle things like that. It's just all easy stuff, and it's not holding on to stuff. You know, and I've done it too. When someone's like not calling you anymore and not contacting you, it's okay. It's okay. There's no resonance right now with you. What they may have something going on in their life right now, or maybe you've got something going on in your life that you're not a resonant. You don't resonate with that individual. Maybe they're doing something different. But we all come together because there really is no separation, anyways.
Yeah.
And it's just enjoying the process of the journey. It's just enjoying it every moment, and then questioning things, asking things. I get into places all the time, and I have to ask, is that me? Is this mine? What do I do with this information? How can I grow from this? And I can tell you, when you're looking at the problem, there's no solution. There's never a solution. I don't ever get an answer. But when I'm in a neutral space and everything's going, or even in a blissful space, information can come in. Just like when I was talking to you about cleaning litter boxes, and all of a sudden I hear Moxie. It's just different stuff. I came out of meditation in the mornings, and I've heard different choline or gelatin, or certain things that maybe I had asked the question before, and I'm just now getting an answer to it. And when the answer comes, I know exactly what it's for. Not always though, because the choline, I just know that it was to benefit the liver. There's a lot more to it than that. So it's just, I find this stuff interesting, and I pursue things. Like, I know for women going through menopause or going through any type of changes or hormones or heavy periods or any of this kind of stuff, you got to start looking outside of yourself. If you want to keep going to the doctors and getting the information that maybe isn't resonating with you, or isn't satisfying you, or isn't changing the outcome of whatever you're experiencing, it's time to go within. Because I'm telling you, setting yourself up in the morning, like, what do I need to hear right now? Sets me right into place. What do I need to hear right now? Well, I started listening to a Barbara. I found her on TikTok, and I like to listen to her. She's got an accent. I don't know where she's from exactly. It might be Australia. I'm not really sure. But she is all about health. She's all about foods, and she's all about simple basic stuff, which we've all have left behind. Like, all this basic stuff we've gotten so accustomed to processed foods. I mean, not, I don't, but I had always been in that space. But it's the basic stuff, like drinking water, and then don't drink a ton of fluid when you're eating a meal, because that's diluting your acids in your stomach that are doing their job to break down the food that just came into it. And now you're dumping a bunch of fluid into it. Now you're letting stuff sit in there. So the I can't even remember what it's called. Anyways, it'll come to me. Anyways, but it's like all that stuff, and it starts sitting on your stomach. Then you're not digesting life right. Now you're having a digestion issue. But if you're focused on doing all this stuff for yourself, it like works out 100%. It starts making sense. You have to explore outside of yourself and see what resonates with you. This person resonates with me. They're giving me information that's been valuable. I've tried some things. I'm noticing different things. It's huge. So it's like we can get stuck in the problem, and then that's stuck. That you feel like you can't move forward. You're not getting any answers. You're unhappy. It's depressing because you can't figure out what the hell's wrong until you start not looking at the problem. You start exploring things. Well, what can I do for myself? What would be good for my body? Instead of being like, oh God, this is going on, I don't know what's going to fix it. You can't fix it from that space, but you can fix it from the space of curiosity, wondering what's going on, exploring different things, and then things start showing up for you. And that, to me, that's exciting. That lights my fire up too. Because if it's benefiting me, then someone's going to come across my path, and I'm going to be able to share this experience or this information with them, and they can take it or leave it. Because I'm not here to fix people anymore. That's the thing. I was here to fix people before. There is nothing wrong with you people. Nothing wrong. We're all on a journey. All of us. We're having an experience. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And how often too, that when you have something going on with within yourself, whether it's your body, or any problem, and you're seeking solutions, you want a solution. Let me put it this way. You want a solution, but you keep talking about the problem. And every time and because you're in that space of talking about the problem, everybody you talk to has this similar problem, or it's got to outdo your problem, and you're still focused on the problem. And you just stir in it, right? I mean, I know I said this before, is especially when there's a new, a woman who is newly pregnant, it's her first, and every woman who comes in contact with her has to tell her their gruesome story of their pregnancy. It's like, oh no, we don't want to do that. We don't know what her experience is going to be like. Don't go planting the seeds like you're going to be sick for the first 3 months. Not everybody is. Your labor is horrible. Not everybody's is, right? So it's like, be careful when you're bringing, sit with the problem you have, but shifting the attention to seeking a solution, because when you're seeking the solution, then it's more apt that the information is going to come from that space and that energy, than sitting in the problem. And then everybody that you talk to that day has got problems and it's a mess.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's two different energies. It's two different energies. You can't be in the depth of a problem and just, you can't see outside of it. It's like being in depression and wanting to be happy at the same time. You just can't have both at the same time. It can only be one. So you can either have the solution or you can have the problem, because it's two different energies.
Yeah.
And then the best way to get there, and I've also, when you said want, I have been in that space of wanting answers, of wanting, and it's like constantly looking for answers and not having faith. Probably because I didn't have faith from that space. Like even with my hair, I didn't have faith from that space because nothing I was getting, there was zero resolution to anything, but I was constantly in that space of there's a problem. There's a problem here. Something needs to be fixed. Just like you said, going and talking about it. Oh, Brian, look at my hair over here. Oh no, Ariana, really? Look. Oh, I understand. Look, you know what I mean? Constantly bringing this stuff up, constantly, and not even realizing there was, that we're doing it. And why? That's just old patterns. That may not even be patterns that were ours in the first place, but we learned it from somebody else.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. How much of this stuff do you want to carry on? I don't anymore. I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want it. When someone asks me, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm okay with that. And that I'm the only one that has to be okay with that. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, right? It really doesn't. I say right, but it's right. To me, that's right. It doesn't matter what someone else believes, that this is the right path for me. It's a leap of faith, honestly. And if I keep having this drawing, pulling me in a certain direction, I'm going to do it. And we've talked about this before, but I want to remind people, when you've got a dream about something, your dream is chasing you. Stop and accept the dream. Like, because I've been that person, even still. So myself is like, hey, a butterfly just flew right by. It came up to the window and flew right past both windows. Make sure, like, hey, transformation's going on right here, baby.
Right.
Which it is. It is. There's so much blessings. Like right now, when the grandkids come out, we're hunting ladybugs. There are millions of them. They're everywhere. And it's awesome.
Cool.
But most people won't know that because they don't go outside.
Right.
What's good for us? The sun. But people have gotten afraid of getting out in the sun because they're worried about skin cancer. Get out there for like 15, 20 minutes. It's not like something you have to be out there all day long. And if you are, do what you need to do. But there's just there's just all these little subtle things. But fear's been planted in us, and it doesn't have to be there anymore. And it's not even our fears. It's just somebody else's experience that now we've taken it on.
Right.
Oh, wait, I need that in my suitcase too when I go on this trip. No, we don't need all that bullshit anymore. Simple. It's simple. It's back to the simple things. Simple.
I would go back to the conversation we kind of started with, it kind of goes along with what you're talking about, but what was, you were talking and I was getting this image of power and control. And that's what we're living our life by: fear, power, and control. We want to feel like we're in control in some way. And that a lot of times that shows up as anger, throwing a temper tantrum, whatever. And, I'm thinking about the government, thinking about the drug rings, put it that way. Starts with the C word. South of our border. I don't know how much you get away with on saying these on social media. So, you get the idea. So anyway, the stress, the amount of stress, and even people with just businesses in general, needing to feel that power and control, and the stress of making the decisions to make sure the money's coming in, make sure that they're number one all the time, make sure that they're hitting the ratings, making sure, all eyes are on their branding. And it's like, how would it be if everyone is just, this imagination of everyone on the planet, if they were spending at least 5 minutes a day doing something that was from their heart space, from their passion, from that space of joy, how much different everything would be. Because the more you connect with that passion and joy, the more of it you want. And so that's most likely going to lead you to increasing the amount of time you're doing that, instead of doing the things that are conjuring up stress, instead of living in your drama and trauma, instead of living in those unhealthy relationships, that you would be living from your heart space and doing what lights you up. How amazingly different would this world be? And majority of the people on the planet, and I would say probably 100% of us, well, I'll go 99.9 extended, because there are some people who can't go out in the sun, but if we all connected with nature in some way, whether it was through animals or just nature or whatever that looks like, water, what would our planet be like? What would the population of the planet be like, right? So I was getting this image and visual when you were talking a while ago about that. So I was like, I needed to share that, because that gives you, instead of focusing on the problem, that gives you something else to focus on, right? Some other visualization.
Yeah, it does. And then also, let's just go with connecting to outside. The more you're connected to nature, the more you're not going to want to harm it or hurt it in any way. You want to support it in all ways. So you're not just the one that wants to be a veterinarian or a nurse. Now it's not just about the people, it's about everything. It's about everything. And it's just taking that small amount of time. And the more that people do it, the more permission has been given to others to be, okay, I'm going to step into my power. Just like I know several people that are leaving their jobs this year. Gosh, now that I'm saying that out loud, there are several people that are leaving their jobs right now this year. I know one has already turned in his notice. Well, actually, 3 of them have. The other 4, now that I'm going through processing, they've already turned in their notices. This is it. And they're going to go travel and go do things. It's giving permission to others to live life the way you want to live life. It doesn't have to be the old ways of thinking that you have to be in a job forever and ever and ever. I'm not saying go out and quit your job. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying do what resonates with you. You got to do what makes you happy. You've got to be able to survive. For me, well, if I had to be out living in the desert, I don't care right now. Right now I don't. I don't have the priorities that I had before. And when I say I don't care, it doesn't mean that I don't care. I don't care. It just means that no matter what, I know things are always working out and I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Always. And that to me is that brings peace to me. That brings freedom, because nobody has control over that. No one can control that. Because no matter what I have or don't have doesn't make me or break me.
And it could be, it could be worded, everything's working out for me. Could be worded, what I say quite often is all my needs are met. Because we tend to get wrapped up in that piece too. Like, oh my God, well, if the money's not coming in, I'm gonna end up homeless and la la la. It's like, all my needs are met. I'm okay. I'm
And then
safe.
remembering to ask, right? But remembering to ask for that help from the universe because it shows up. Ask and then let it go. And then be surprised how it shows up. I'm
Surprised and
surprised.
delighted.
Surprised and delighted always. And that's been something, that's not something I've always experienced, but I have been experiencing it. I have been experiencing the more I let go of it, the more that I'm experiencing it, the more that's coming into me.
Nice.
And that's how, and so we were talking about here at home, we were talking about, building the garden and stuff like that. And for me, it's not, okay, we can build a garden, but we don't have to. That's not my priority. It's not my priority because no matter what, I always feel like the needs are going to be met. And that's a distraction. That's a distraction outside of ourselves. What do I want to do with my life? I want to go inside. I want to go inside of myself and then expand as much as I possibly can, because no matter what, we're rippling out to everybody. We're benefiting everybody. And they're benefiting us.
Yeah.
Everybody is, whether it's something you like that they're doing or that you don't like.
Right.
There's still a
Right.
benefit. There's still an answering of what you don't like and what you do like.
Yeah. There's been quite a few conversations about that too lately that I've heard is the dynamics of our showing up for each other on this planet.
100%.
More conversations about that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
It just goes to show you where we're at right now. And then the more you hear, it's like, maybe it's the people that I surround myself with or that show up in my experience. I don't know. But it just seems like the conversations are deep conversations. They're deep conversations. We're out there. When we get done with the conversations, like, wow, we just solved all the problems of the world. You have a great day and we'll see you later. I mean, that's how it feels. When you get done having those conversations, it just feels like the whole world is possible. Everything is possible, instead of what we've been being taught is that it's not possible because I said so. That's why, because I'm the boss.
Right.
No, I'm my own boss.
Even those little people are their own boss. We think we're
100%.
controlling them, but we sure are
No.
not.
No, they let us believe, and then they start becoming the people pleaser. Because
Right.
I see this stuff too. And that's why I tell people all the time, you want to know why your kid's acting that way? Well, sit and watch. When you hear them behaving a certain way, well, mom and dad have a banter that playful and sarcastic and everything else. Well, when it starts coming through from a child to the parents, because they're joking the same way that their parents are joking around, now it's not received very well, and now
Right.
you're getting in trouble. And then they're saying, you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? No, they have no flipping
No.
clue what you're talking about, because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know on what level you're really talking about, because you're
Right.
telling them, do as I say and not as I do.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. So if you see behavior in your kids that you don't care for, take a close look around who's been around him most or her most of the time.
Right.
It's not just one. So, but that's huge, because that can be changed. You don't have to stay in that space. The whole process can change.
Yeah, children could be, children can help us grow, right? If they're showing up in a way that we don't like and they're just mirroring us, we're like, oh, I don't like that. You're really saying, I don't like myself. So if you're getting pissed off at your children, you're getting pissed off at yourself because you're showing up like that.
Yes,
And
because you are. Oh, keep going.
no, I was just going to say, on social media, I saw a meme. It was like, I'm sorry if you don't like my attitude, you created me, so you need to go back to the manufacturer and
awesome.
file your complaint.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's like children are awesome in teaching us. If we were to learn, if we were to choose to learn about ourselves, be more inquisitive about ourselves, they're absolutely 100% sponges, and they're only reflecting back to you yourself.
100%. So when you think about it, right? how many of I wish I would say before, I wish my, I wish I would have come and told myself this stuff. That you're telling yourself this stuff. Yourself is, I mean, these children are an aspect of you. Without you being here, they wouldn't be here. They might have come in a different form through some other parents or whatever else, but it wouldn't be in your experience the way it is right now. And we have a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity. We have it all day long. And the littles, they get your attention because
They
they
sure
throw their
do.
temper tantrums and stuff. And then they get confused because nobody's listening to them. And so on the opposite side of that, what happens to me if I start experiencing something that was someone's close and really close to me, then they're going through those experiences. I want to take it and fix the problem. So still there's that, I still have the fixer. The fixer's not 100% gone because I know that they came for their own experiences, but for you to bear witness to that, it's not always easy. So that's where I send streams of grace. I send love, prayers, whatever, for everybody involved. Because it's not just one person. Because we're all connected.
Right.
In
Isn't
this
it great?
experience.
I have to say, it feels in one side, of course, we, even as a just as a human being, you don't like to see people suffer and struggle and all that, but
Yeah.
playing that fixer role for so freaking long, isn't it so refreshing to be able to just sit on the sidelines and observe and just be
Yeah.
like, damn, look at that happen right now.
It
It's
is.
like kind of like watching a tennis match, right? You're just watching the players and not you're just like, this ain't my shit, man. This ain't mine. Y'all figure it out. I'm gonna sit here with my Mai Tai. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not mine.
Isn't that interesting? Yes.
Isn't that interesting? Sip, sip.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember listening to Esther Hicks talking about her grandkids and how one was pressing the other one's buttons and how it all played out and how it
Yeah.
could have been different. And it's fascinating, but our autopilot, and that's where it's so valuable for us to learn new tools and then to incorporate those new tools so that our autopilot's not the same as all the way back when, throwing a temper tantrum. That was our autopilot. I'm tired. I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. I'm dirty. I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. There's just so many different things, and we have an opportunity because it doesn't have to be that way. If you're tired, go take a freaking nap. If you're filthy, find a way to go hose off. Whatever that looks like for you. You just got to do. It's just not keeping yourself in that victim state. It's going out and actually having some action. You're feeling a desire to do something. Take the action.
That was the other thing with this lady on Next Level Soul this morning was she goes, when a child is struggling, it's typically as a parent, we're like, why are you crying? Why aren't you picking up your clothes? Why aren't you cleaning your room? Right? It's the why. And they're like, I don't want to, right? Whatever the story is. And the child really doesn't understand why, the question why.
Yeah.
But when you ask, what is it that's keeping you from cleaning your room? What is it that's making you upset right now? Right? When we ask the question in a different way, now there's connection. Now there's a way for the child to go, oh, well, I'm just mad because I want an ice cream and you won't give it to me. Right? So I'm not going to clean my room.
True.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
But asking that question differently, which totally made sense to me because I was the mom that said, why aren't you doing that? Right.
Yeah.
Doing all my shit all over my child. So I didn't have these tools.
No, me neither.
But anyway, yeah. So there's so much great information and advice and knowledge coming forward that is being shared. Of course, you get better when you implement something that resonates with you. So, and feels good, right? That's what we always talk about. What feels good to you and implement it.
100%.
Yeah. Any final words?
Make a magnificent week.
Yes, absolutely. All right, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We'll see you next week.
Bye.